This is huge. This is huge. US is severely limiting its support to Israeli war. Now, this new development is something you must take a look. Let's play this video and then you'll know what I'm talking about.
A U.S. aircraft carrier deployed in the Middle East is heading home. The Pentagon has decided to bring back the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and that followed a rare decision to keep 2 U.S. Navy aircraft carriers in the region during the past weeks. The Biden administration had increased U.S. military presence in the Middle East to help defend Israel from possible attacks by Iran and its allies. Let's bring in Elijah Manier. He's a military and security analyst joining us from Brussels. Welcome back to Al Jazeera. Why, in your assessment, is this aircraft carrier heading home now?
Thank you for having me. Aircraft carrier are not just warship, but they are mobile military bases capable of projecting power across vast distance. The mere fact that the US is recalling back its aircraft carriers carry multiple layers of messages. First, it's a message to the Israelis that we don't have any appetite to escalate in the Middle East, and that the response, the retaliation from Iran is not imminent, and you do not create a retaliation against the Iranian or start a war with Lebanon, because this is not the time, and this is not something that the Americans are ready to accommodate Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, in his objective to continue endless war, because he was refusing to strike a deal with the Palestinian resistance. Second, it's a message that there is no more need of additional carrier, because this is the first time, it's very rare for the Pentagon to accept and make a decision to keep 2 U.S. Navy carriers in the region because of the Israeli ongoing war and the incapability of America to dictate its policy on Israel and to have a longer view where the Israeli wants to drag the American into a war.
Right.
It's also just for the Israeli to say, we want to reach an agreement with the Palestinians. This is what you need to focus on, and not about a military response.
Okay, so what purpose, though, did it serve? Because there's an argument that the presence of a U.S. aircraft carrier and warships accompanying them has been an effective deterrent. I mean, you were talking about projecting power a moment ago. So is it mainly about projecting power, or is it more to do with their offensive capabilities?
Well, aircraft carriers still matter, but their role as a deterrent is increasingly nuanced. Because although they serve as a mobile hub, as a power show force communication deterrence, however, there are missile technology that have evolved, and there are powers in the Middle East, like Iran and its allies, equipped with adequate missiles. Nevertheless, it's not that easy and straightforward to hit the U.S. carrier. So it is a deterrent in a way, but in another way, it is showing a lack of will to really be engaged in wars.
But due to their size, Elijah Manier, would they not be more vulnerable to attack themselves?
That is true, but the carrier never travels on its own. It consists of many other ships that protect the carrier, like submarine, like other small destroyers, like a squadron. They can move faster, like the Berg-class guided missile destroyer, and they can intercept missiles that are directed toward the carrier, particularly in an area where the Americans are aware of the capability of hypersonic, but not only supersonic, surface-to-surface missile in the hand of Iran and its allies.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Remaining vigilant.
Look,
Yes,
do you think that aircraft carriers are still important with all the new technological advancements that we see today in warfare, or do you think that a time will come where they become obsolete?
It is true, they can become absolute, but they move a large force into a nearby area. For example, the Americans don't need to be opposite the Iranian coast to start a war with Iran. They can go from a further distance, and then they can have 90 to 140 aircraft ready to be engaged in a battle. But yes, of course, they can also be considered as sitting ducks for a very advanced surface-to-surface missile and can be seriously damaged. And this is why I think the Americans pulled out the second carrier, because they really don't want to send a belligerent message to the Middle East.
Okay, so let's unwind a few things here. Number one, guys, so right now, this USS Roosevelt's carrier, this warship carrier, they have been sent back to the States. Means they will not be in deployment any longer. So that is USS Theodore Roosevelt. Now, you have to understand few dynamics here, very simple for all of us here to understand. Now, take a look at this one. So US was reported on Al Jazeera. Is U.S. preparing for Israel-Iran war by deploying more ships to Middle East? So that was a month ago. Then Times of India, they reported U.S. deploys warships in Mediterranean Sea as Biden prepares for Israel-Hezbollah war. Then on first post there was this report code, US deploys assault ship and marines to Mediterranean Sea amid rising fears of Israel-Hezbollah war. I want you to pay attention to these two names, okay? Israel and Hezbollah war. Is this over? Of course not. In fact, it is, according to Israeli ministry, it is actually just the beginning of it. Take a look at this one. So, Gantz said, Israeli minister, military focus shifted from Gaza to Lebanon. We are late on this. It came on the Times of Israel newspaper 3 days ago. Then it says Israel needs to shift military focus to Lebanon, Gantz says. Gantz said again, military focus should shift to Lebanon and Iran. We are late on this. Israel's Gantz urges a focus on Lebanon and Hezbollah, not Gaza and Hamas. The reason why this military, aircraft carrier, two of them were deployed in the Mediterranean, was to protect Israel from attack from Hezbollah, right? And Gantz, Benny Gantz, and the Ministry of Israel, they are now more pivoted towards going on the offensive against the Lebanon, Hezbollah, than to stay in Gaza. So the question is, if they want to continue this war with Hezbollah, and they're not done, in fact, they're just getting started, because according to Gantz, he said they are already too late, so they're going to be starting very, very soon, very, very fast. So if they are going to go on a war with Hezbollah, for which US already sent those warship carriers before, then why they're now all of a sudden pulling them all back and not deploying them or keep them deployed to help Israel when Israel needs them the most? Because as I said, they are going to fight against Hezbollah. They're just getting ready about it. What does it really show is very, very simple. There is a rift. There is a rift between Washington and Tel Aviv. Biden and Netanyahu, or Netanyahu, is also known as Netanyahu. Why am I saying this? Is because 1 week ago there was this report published on BBC. Netanyahu, this is what Biden said, Netanyahu not doing enough to secure Gaza hostage deal, says Biden. 1 week ago it says, define Netanyahu insists Israel must control strategic border corridor in Gaza. Then June 4th, is Israel going back to Biden announced Gaza peace plan? No, they did not. And then Times of India, we are very close. Joe Biden says Netanyahu not doing enough to secure hostage deal with Hamas. I do not want you to misunderstand me on this. If Israel needs, and when Israel needs US's support, military support, they will get it. Without any condition, without any if or but. Here is a question. If they do need help from states, from United States, Israel, and the help is not available at that moment, or it will take time for the help to arrive, what will then happen to Israel? For example, if Lebanon or Iran, they take advantage of this situation that these warships are moving away, they're being pulled back to their original station, what Iran can do? They can plan something big. What Hezbollah can do, they can plan something big against Israel, taking advantage of US's not showing any interest to defend Israel the way they were doing even 2 days ago. Therefore, to me, looks like again, Israel will be a lot more vulnerable without the support of these warships by their states, and they might end up getting attacked from many other fronts. The other question that I also want to ask in this video, Iran and Israel, we know that they are working together militarily. They have technologies that are very, very advanced. Especially for Iran, air-to-surface missiles, the technologies can actually wreak havoc on those warships that cost trillions of dollars. They're huge, they're big, they're very sophisticated, they're very new, they're very modern, they're very advanced. Is this a show of weakness from US's part that we are actually afraid of Iranian attack on these warships if Iran decides to do so. That could be another way of looking at it. I'm not sure if that is the case. It could be possible that US will not defend Israel at the expense of losing these warships. But we know that Iran is not going to do that. Iran is not going to attack. But if they want to, they can, especially with the help of Russia. What is happening right now, guys? As I said, Zionism is collapsing on all fronts. They want to escalate this war. Netanyahu, for him to stay in power, he wants to go to war with Hezbollah, with Iran, and with everybody, with Syria, and he's doing that. But now at the same time, when he's escalating, US is not de-escalating with their rhetoric. In fact, they're propping up Israel and its military. But what they are doing, though, is that they're limiting it. Their support, their free check that they were giving to Israel after Netanyahu rejected Joe Biden's proposal of a ceasefire, because that will be a political victory, a big victory for the Democrats back in the States. Now Joe Biden and Harris administration looks like to me they're taking revenge. They're sending a clear message to Netanyahu that yes, we are going to defend Israel. That's not a question. That's not a problem. But we really don't want to defend you anymore because you're not listening to us. In fact, you're going towards the Trump campaign and his side. And when you decide to go and reach a ceasefire deal with Hamas, it will be under Trump's Trump administration, under his administration, not us. So if we are not winning anything from you, we're not going to help you. This is exactly how it is being played out. So what it will or who it will benefit, this whole tension between the US and Israel, the leadership level, it is going to be, you guessed it right, it's going to be benefiting Iran and Russia and Lebanon and Hezbollah. So yeah, Zionists, you really need to know now how to support and defend yourself without the help of United States. Thank you so much for joining this session, guys. If you have any comment, leave a comment, because I find this video from Al Jazeera very, very important for us to understand the whole. It changes the whole dynamic of the war. Randy Man, hi, Randy Man. Thank you, guys. Alex Kelly, the Prophet's Path. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day.